Good morning. I'm S4 Kanapuru, hematologist, oncologist, physician, and a scientific liaison for older adults with hematologic malignancies in the Office of Oncologic Diseases. Over the next 10 minutes, I will provide a brief perspective regarding considerations for post-marketing data to improve the evidence base for treatment decision-making for older adults with cancer. Clinical trials are the key step in advancing potential new cancer treatments from the research setting to the cancer care clinic. Having information on the safety and efficacy of a cancer therapeutic across different age subgroups prior to approval is important to understand a therapeutic product's risk-benefit profile for the safe use of the therapeutic in clinical practice. Differences may exist between younger and older patients in drug response and toxicity, and having information is important to inform treatment decisions for older adults with cancer. However, adults aged 65 years and older, and especially those 75 years and older, have been historically underrepresented in clinical trials supporting drug approvals, despite representing a growing segment of the population of cancer patients. This slide shows several other FDA guidance and initiatives to facilitate inclusion of a diverse patient population, including older adults in clinical trials. One guidance, cancer clinical trial eligibility criteria, patients with organ dysfunctions or prior or concurrent malignancies, is particularly relevant to older adults. This guidance includes specific recommendations regarding the inclusion of patients with renal, cardiac, and hepatic dysfunction, and of patients with prior or concurrent malignancies, all of which increase with age. The FDA ASCO Geriatric Oncology Workshop was held in November of 2017 to generate new action items for increasing the evidence base for treating older adults with cancer, and included calling for the FDA to routinely work with sponsors during the planning process for investigational new drug applications to enroll a representative number of older adults. Despite numerous efforts to increase enrollment of older adults, changes to approval of older adults in pre-market clinical trials have been modest. Another recent draft guidance, the inclusion of older adults in cancer clinical trials, provides recommendations for inclusion of a representative group of older adult patient population in cancer clinical trials and have been discussed in the previous sessions. The guidance states that ideally adequate information should be captured in the pre-market clinical trials. However, if the pre-market clinical trials did not enroll sufficient number of patients in the age subgroups, this information could be obtained through post-market trials or studies. The need for post-marketing data to provide information on underrepresented populations should be discussed with the FDA early in the product development program. So how do we address this issue? This can happen with communications with sponsors during the development process of the investigation of new drugs to enroll a representative population. The strategy regarding inclusion of older adults should be informed by any known information for older adults, including, for example, prevalence of the condition, diagnosis and the treatment patterns, prior relevant studies, and any known or anticipated differences in outcomes related to safety or the prevalence of the condition may be informed by data for rates in the U.S. cancer population for the respective cancer. Demographic information on age subgroups will be evaluated during the review and will consider the available information to decide if additional data will be needed in the post-marketing setting in the specific age subgroups. To expand on the considerations for post-marketing data, post-marketing studies in clinical trials can be required to assess a known serious risk or signals of serious risk related to the use of the drug, or to identify an unexpected serious risk of a drug when available data indicate the potential for a serious risk. This determination will be based on scientific data, including information regarding chemically related or pharmacologically related drug use. Sometimes a serious risk relates to the failure of the expected pharmacological action, including reduced effectiveness. Considerations for requiring post-marketing studies or trials may be based on analysis of multiple factors, including the nature of the serious risk, the appropriate type of investigations to assess or identify the particular serious risk, and the strengths and limitations of the electronic health data and adverse event report data to assess the specific serious risk. The tools available to evaluate this data and the extent to which the available data inform the serious risk will also be considered. Certain types of questions related to the serious risk may only be answerable through specific types of studies or clinical trials. In cases where there is no serious safety signal or potential reduced effectiveness, There is lack of data on a particular underrepresented group. Sponsors may be requested to collect data from clinical trial, post-marketing studies, or additional data sources to further characterize the safety and clinical benefit under a post-marketing commitment. For example, if there is a lack of data in a certain subgroup of patients, a post-marketing commitment may be requested to obtain additional exposure, safety, and efficacy data in that patient population. What type of data or designs may be considered? Initial approval for a therapeutic, sponsors often have subsequent trials either ongoing or planned at the time of. It may be possible to obtain data to satisfy post-marketing requirement by enriching the ongoing trial and enrolling patients in the 8 subgroups not adequately represented in the trial submitted for marketing. Data sources for observational studies could include administrative healthcare claims data, electronic medical records, registries of prospectively collected observational data, or other sources. It is important to consider the relevant population size in the data source, including size of the exposed population. For studies enrolling adults 65 years and older, it's likely important to evaluate the completeness of medical care and drug coverage. Sponsors should discuss the proposals with the agency to obtain feedback and guidance early in the development. In some instances, a meta-analysis with a prospectively designed study protocol and analysis plan with a comprehensive selection of relevant studies or clinical trials and appropriate methodology may also serve to provide post-marketing data for specific subgroups of patients 65 years and older. In the following 4 slides, I will present one example where post-marketing requirement and commitment was issued to obtain additional safety and efficacy data in a patient population 65 years and older. Belantamab mafodotin is a B-cell maturation antigen-directed antibody and a microtubule inhibitor conjugate that was granted accelerated approval in early August 2020 for the treatment of adult patients with relapsed or refractory multiple myeloma who have received at least 4 prior therapies, including an anti-CD38 monoclonal antibody, a proteasome inhibitor, and an immunomodulatory agent. The key safety issue with belantamab mafodotin was ocular toxicity, including keratopathy and changes in visual acuity. Belantamab mafodotin includes a black box warning for ocular toxicity and also includes a risk evaluation and mitigation strategy and elements to assure safe use. The median age in the DREAM2 trial, or the pivotal trial, was 65 years in the 2.5 mg per kg cohort, compared to the median age of 69 years for patients with newly diagnosed multiple myeloma in the United States. Additionally, only 13% of patients enrolled were 75 years and older. In the 75 years and older subgroup, only 1 of 13 patients had a response, corresponding to an overall response rate of 13.8%. Additionally, there appeared to be an increased incidence of specific ocular toxicities in the age group 65 to less than 75 years and 75 years and older subgroups compared to the age less than 65 years subgroup. At the time of approval, a post-marketing requirement to verify and describe the clinical benefit of belantamab mafodotin in a randomized clinical trial was issued. Within this clinical trial, there was also a requirement that this trial included sufficient number of older adults, 65 to 74 years of age and 75 years and older. Additionally, a post-marketing commitment was issued to collect additional information from multiple data sources to further characterize the risk of ocular toxicities and other ocular symptoms in patients 65 to 74 years and 75 years and older compared to patients less than 65 years of age. My presentation highlights few considerations for post-marketing approaches to improve the evidence base for making treatment decisions for older adults with cancer. However, these are not all-inclusive. It is important that sponsors make every effort to enroll a representative patient population of older adults, including adults 75 years and older, in pre-market trials supporting approvals of drugs and post-marketing data to further understand the benefit-risk profile of the drug in the different 8 subgroups of patients with cancer may be needed based on the review of the pre-market data. Sponsors should consider the adequacy of the data and have discussions with the agency at least prior to submitting a marketing application to understand the need for post-marketing data and the type of data that may be needed. I would like to thank my FDA colleagues and the workshop organizers for this opportunity. Thank you.